Coming up next, we're going to chat with the Riverview Boys and Girls Club program director here, who has an awesome event about one of my favorite things in the whole world, that is video games. So Matt McKeigan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
Always great to have you on here.
Yeah.
Friend of the show now. This be the second time now, I think.
That's an honor. I'm a friend. You're a friend. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all friends here. So it's great to have, and you guys have an excellent event coming up. It's called Community Power Up. So take us through it. What's going on?
So yeah, Community Powerup is a game convention, gaming in all of its forms, video games, board games, Dungeons and Dragons, card games, everything you can think of. We just wanted to make an opportunity for people in our community to get together and share a hobby and talk about games and participate in gaming in a social environment.
See, I let off and said, oh, I like video games, because I had forgotten there are also board games and a couple of DMs there if you want to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Absolutely.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's not just video games, as much as I get excited about video games. But
and most people do. I would give you that. I'd say the majority of it is video games, but there's definitely a strong focus on board games and Dungeons and Dragons and all of that, just so that we can.
It's the social part.
Exactly. Yeah. So we can accommodate all kinds of gamers and hopefully introduce new people who maybe all they know about is video games, and that's kind of what they associate with gaming. But we can introduce them to something new, and maybe they'll discover a new hobby.
Yeah, no, exactly. So what was it like to put all this together? Because this is kind of the first of its kind, at least for the Riverview Boys and Girls Club. So what was it like to put all of it together? How did it come together?
I would say it actually started with the title, the name. as soon as I knew what to call it, Community Powerup. I've known for a while that I wanted to do something around fundraising in video games. And you know, you have one of those eureka moments where Community Powerup is kind of a play on words, abbreviates to CPU, video games, and all that. So that's really where it started, and we wanted to find a way to bring the community together for a good cause. Obviously, Moncton is such a generous community, and we wanted to bring that generous community together as a community of gamers, and just find a way for us all to give back and support the kids. So.
Yeah, no kidding. And it kind of comes in at a really interesting point where you have things like Critical Role that have been super popular on YouTube.
Absolutely.
You've got things like Games Done Quick, where a couple times a year they raise over $1 million to a couple of different charities, and they do speed running, you know, in video games. So there's certainly a lot of kind of an untapped potential there with a lot of different games and a lot of different gamers. So let's get down to brass tacks. Let's run down a few of the games that will be there specifically.
Yes.
So what will be there for our fans at home?
So I guess the first thing I should talk about is our retro arcade that we're setting up as one of our stations. We're going to have Street Fighter 2. People will be able to compete against each other in Street Fighter 2 for prizes.
Classic.
Yeah, we're going to have some high score challenges in Duck Hunt. So we're bringing in an old CRT TV. We've got a real Nintendo with the NES Zapper. We're going to have people competing for high scores. Everyone's going to be winning prizes as they go. Mario Kart, all the classics. So the retro arcade is going to be a huge one for people who just want to kind of relive those glory days. Or if you have a kid who's never seen the glory days, it'll be a great opportunity to introduce them to some of those things.
Yeah, you want to see those games where the pixels are as big as hams.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so we're going to have a lot of selections as far as it goes to retro games. But we also have, throughout the whole day, a giant Smash Brothers tournament. So we brought in one of the biggest tournament organizers, Eric Douglas, from the Atlantic provinces, and he's going to be setting up a free tournament just for fun. It'll have, you know, the way you kind of play with your friends in the college dorms. The items will be on and just a relaxed tournament setting. But we'll also have a competitive tournament, one-on-one, no items, the perfect flat level that everybody likes to play on.
Final Destination.
Final Destination, no items, you got it. So we're going to have one of those big tournaments, and it'll be $5 to get in, and winner's going to take a pot. So lots of choices when it comes to games.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. And then also board games as well.
Yeah.
So which ones will be there for that?
I mean, we have a lot of designer board games. Some of the newer ones. I don't know if you've ever heard of Formula D. It's actually a racing board game. So it's surprisingly fast-paced. You have a car, and you're kind of shifting through gears and taking turns, and you have to kind of pace yourself as you go around the track. It's a really interesting take on board games. It's kind of different. We'll have the classics like Monopoly and Sorry and all of those things, but we have some volunteers who are bringing in their whole collections, and we're really going to build a library of board games for people to choose and to kind of take a chance with their family and see who can win.
See what happens.
So, yeah.
So obviously there is just a dearth of collection of different games.
Absolutely.
How did you get them all together? Were some of them donated? Were some of them provided? You know, how did that happen?
Being that we work with so many teens and they're interested in gaming, and we've done activities in the past where we talk about careers in gaming and stuff like that. And one of the things we do there is we'll buy board games and we'll talk about how some of the parts were made and some of the pieces were made. So at the club, we already had a pretty cool collection of modern board games. We had a very generous sponsor donate a ton of brand new, still sealed board games to add to the collection. And yeah, our collection just kind of grew as people came out of the woodworks just wanting to give into this activity. And it really speaks to our community that people just need an opportunity to give. And as soon as they see it, they capitalize on it. And they've just been supporting us every step of the way.
Is that the same with the video games? You find that a lot of it's come from kind of
absolutely, yeah. So as soon as, you know, we start talking about the program, people hear about it, they get on Facebook and they start messaging us, or they give us a call and they say, how can I help out with this? What do you need? These are what I have. These are the skills that I can lend to the activity, or these are the supplies. What do you need? How can I help? And that's really been happening in all facets, from Dungeons & Dragons to board games to video games to presenters and speedrunners and anyone who's going to be at the event. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Sounds like a very robust event. You talk about Dungeon Masters, that's not an easy thing to do.
No.
So there will be a couple of them that are there too. So if you want to get your Dungeons & Dragons on, come out of the basement and come in there.
Exactly, yeah. So
we definitely get that in too.
Yeah, we feel really fortunate. We found 3 very talented Dungeon Masters, and they've built, or they've customized some pre-built campaigns for people to run through. And the goal here is whatever your level of comfort with Dungeons & Dragons, whether you've never played, never heard of it, we'll have pre-made characters for you. Or if you Dungeon Master every weekend and you want to have a more advanced experience, there's something for everyone on offer there. So.
Which is excellent. So it sounds like there is something for everyone. And you mentioned prizes for different games, different genres, bragging rights, all available.
Yeah.
So be sure to check it out. That's March 23rd at the Coverdale Rec Center.
There you go.
So what times are that, and is there anything special going on throughout the day?
Yeah, so it opens at 10 a.m. and it runs till 6 p.m. We fully expect people to kind of pop in and check out the different rooms, check out the arcade for a little bit, play a board game, maybe do a dungeon through the Dungeons & Dragons bit. And at different parts of the day, so we're going to do big raffles. We have tons of prizes that have been going on. We're going to have a raffle at 2 p.m. and a raffle at 6 p.m., so those are some key times that people want to be there. We have our key speaker, Michael Go, who's going to be on at 12:30. So if they want to see a full itinerary of what's going on, I definitely encourage people to check out our website, communitypowerup.ca, and they'll have tons of information of when everything's happening, but I think those are the key ones that people are going to be around for.
All right, let's talk more about Michael Go. He is the keynote speaker.
Yes.
So what attracts, what will attract the people to him?
So Michael Go has this amazing presentation around an artificial intelligence he built that taught itself how to play the first level of Mario, like Super Mario Brothers. And he has this really educational presentation about how not only to create an AI and program it to learn on each iteration of itself, but also a really fun demonstration of, what if we let this AI learn 30 steps of the way in? What does it look like? And it might make it to the first enemy, kill it, and then jump into a pit. And then let's see what it looks like 200 runs in, and it can make it through the level pretty competently, but it's very slow. And then by 1,000 runs, it can speed through the level. And it's really interesting, not only from a learning how to program perspective, but it's fun as a gamer to see, I learned at a slower pace than this artificial intelligence did, or, it's pretty entertaining to see. And he has a lot of experience to share, not only in programming and in that IT field, but as a gamer, he's a professional Tetris player, and his wealth of knowledge is so deep that I'm sure he has a lot of stuff to share with the crew.
No, for certain. Well, now you cross that an AI can learn how to play Mario. You've got an AI now that beat the #1 professional Go player. I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords because it's nuts what they can do for sure. We have less than 2 minutes, so let's quickly get into what the Riverview Boys and Girls Club offers.
Yeah.
So just kind of the Reader's Digest version, we can get a little bit into it.
Yeah. So at the Boys and Girls Club, what most people know about us is that we have a daycare. And yes, we do have an after-school, we call it the After-School Adventure Camp. And that's for kids from 5 years old to 12 years old to have a safe space to learn and play after school. We also have some teen programming. So we have 2 drop-in programs, one at our Riverview Center and one at our Hillsborough Center. That's for 10 to 17-year-olds. And it's just a safe space for them to come after school or in the evening. We do tons of activities and outings and trips with them. Just last night, they went and watched How to Train a Dragon 3. The kids had a blast doing that, and they have tons of opportunities to do things like that. We also have our Raise the Grade program, which we spoke about kind of at length last time. We help kids with their homework. We give them career guidance advice. We do hobby exploration, where a lot of our board games come from that program because that's what their hobbies are, and we try and meet them in the middle there and talk about their careers and their hobbies and mixing that together. We do tons of in-school programming. We have mental health programs. We have skilled trades programs, and we talk about all sorts of things in the schools. Sports programs and all sorts of exciting things going on. We're all over the community.
bgcriverview.com is the place to go for that. Community Powerup has its own website as well, which is
communitypowerup.ca.
communitypowerup.ca. I wish I had remembered that because that's so easy. Matt McKeigan, Program Director, Riverview Boys and Girls Club, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Now.
Friends of the show.
We're friends forever
BFFs.
on this show, on this community show. That is called the Hub City Show. So Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks again.
Be sure to check that out. That's on March the 23rd.